You know, it doesn't matter what position any of us might hold. There's someone else with a total, complete opposite view. And as far as they or you are concerned, both of you are right. Some of you might be willing to compromise, and others are not. And when you think about that as a big scope across humanity, you see humanity constantly at odds with one another, not intending to be, but thinking that is the only way to be because your way is right. The problem is that your way doesn't fix anything for me, and my way doesn't fix anything for you, according to what satisfies each group, you or myself. So, what do we find? We find ourselves here as people, put here on this plane to live together amongst one another, having these different views. And to what end are we supposed to exist? One is that we can look at things that are required of us as far as survival, security. We can look at those kinds of things. And as spokesman and advocate of basic human rights for all people, I think that every human being is on the face of earth, on the face of the earth, by being here, got the right to survive. So that means having those resources available to them to survive. Even animals got that. Sometimes they have to kill each other and eat each other. It has been said that there was a time that humans did the same thing. But you progress, you mature, you develop, you come out of the darkness and to the light and start seeing things where you don't have to kill each other to eat. You don't have to argue and fight against each other to survive. You don't have to lie, cheat, and steal to make it. The only reason that people could lie and cheat and steal, that's greedy. That's to take advantage of a situation and exploit others. And you would only see that where those resources are, where you can see bonds that's overflowing. There isn't enough room to contain it. It's just flowing out in a ditch somewhere because it's not coming back out to the people. That's where your maximized greed is. That's where your efforts of that which is truly evil. Now, I say truly evil because what it does, it takes from others to become a waste. And people try to fix that when you have been robbed yourselves and have nothing to do but stand on the corners and beg. Sometimes some of you might not stand on the corner. Some of you might not go to the governor's office or to the mayor's office. Some of you might go and throw a brick into a store and steal. And in a system where you have been left out in the program or programmed to be where you are, they are going to put police on the street to force their rules, to force their regulations, to force their laws, that they may be maintained just as they are. And if you don't like it, they have suggested that you tell everybody else about it, get other people to agree with you, and go to the polls and vote. To polls where they have determined that many of you should not be allowed to come to, which means that they will just what? Continue to abuse you as they have in the past. Which brings me back to my original point. So, what is this all about? It would appear that it might be easier if you understood the fact that there are people on earth that's going to be at odds with one another. And that, just for the purpose of this conversation, let's just reduce it down to two. Let's just say Republicans and Democrats. You're going to have 2 points of view, and each are at odds with one another. And when you compromise, you got people that's suffering on the right, you got people that's suffering on the left to make it okay for those who have compromised and moved to the center. That's no different than the worst things we've just mentioned. So here again, what is it all about? It could be, I'm not sure, that it is based upon each individual holding true to who and what they are. Let me give you an example. Then in America don't want you to talk about the times they came over and called Indians savages when they themselves were the savages. The people who call the Indians savages were themselves savages. You see how they always want to throw that other ugliness on others? They are savages, while they themselves are the savage. But you look at the others as savages. So that excuse what you do justifies it because you're dealing with savages as you have become a savage. You think they don't want you to talk about slavery, how they treated those people? That's ugly. They don't want you to know that. Okay. So what happens? On the native side, many of them fought, defended themselves. Many of them died, gave their lives for freedom, gave their lives for what was proper and right for them. They weren't trying to hurt anybody else. They were just trying to maintain their own human dignity. And they died. Now, what happened with the ones that didn't die? They bent their heads and said that we will become a slave. We will become servants, whatever you want us to do. They moved them off at reservations. They moved them off in secluded areas and treated them like shitholes. That's what they did, and that's what they're still doing. When it came to the black people, there were slaves who said, we're not going to be slaves. Some of them jumped off the ships, I hear. I don't really know, but they said they did. Many of them fought. And even up through our time, fought, gave their lives to standing up to have a voice. What were they doing? They were standing up for dignity, standing up for justice, standing up for what is proper and right. But many of them said, well, we'll take affirmative action. We'll agree that you can every so often recertify that we are citizens if we've held ourselves in good standing and you're not afraid of us. Then maybe you can recertify us. So we are slaves still, and we will commit to do whatever you want us to do just so we can be around. So here's what you got. You got these same group of people who've been kept, who have had no restrictions. The laws don't matter. The laws are really for you and for those others that they don't need to be justified just yet. But all of this pain and suffering is coming down on you, and it's because you have yielded to it. You have allowed it to happen. The brave ones are gone on. And those who know the truth, when you start talking about the right or the left and both of you think you're right, those who know the truth themselves walk upright. They don't even worry about what you're saying, because what you're saying, both of you, are coming out of the pit of ignorance. You just don't know any better. So the one that knows better walks straight up. And the reason that they can walk straight up is because their straightness is to be a light to the darkness of the Republicans and the Democrats. Their straightness. And it might lead them straight to the cross, which is a statement to all human beings that before you become a part of the right, a part of the left, a part of the Democrats, and part of the Republicans, it is wiser to just walk straight to the cross. Because by walking straight to the cross, you have shown that you, as some might say today, you are woke. You are awake. And so you're not catching on Republicans or Democrats. You're not catching on black or white, because it's all a bunch of ignorance. Ignorance. And those who yield themselves call themselves good people who yield down and fall in the creek. God is not having any mercy on you either. You got to wake up just like the crooks that are doing it to you. Now, I'm not trying to judge what's going to happen. All I'm telling you is this. People like Jesus, many folks say it didn't ever exist. They said that had something to do with just being a metaphor. I'm not going to argue that. I wasn't here. I can see it plainly in my mind, in my heart, and in my spirit. But I don't have to do that. All I have to do is look at people like Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Look at people like Dr. Martin Luther, like Malcolm X. Look at the many people who gave their lives standing up, just standing up for what was right. Just gave their lives. They are not going through this hell. And thank God Almighty they are not. But I also thank them for the light that they have shown me. So I can stand up and say to you that I have tried it. I have tried it. And it works. The reason that I'm here today is because I'm trying my best to utilize these little few years that I might have left, if I got a few years, to try to keep on talking that something might come out of my mouth. Something might be in the spirit that flows from my mouth that would touch you in a way that might mean something. It just might mean something. But other than that, I know we're living in hell. I can see it all around me. Peace, prosperity, freedom, joy, dreams fulfilled, needs, wants, and desires met. What human being wouldn't want that? Well, there are those that want it so bad they are killed to get it. There are those who want it so bad they would not bend their knee and to give up anything. And there are those who just don't know any better. They just hang around good people. Good people. Well, if you want, I would propose to you that you try the power that made you. If the power that made you evil and low down and racist and bigot, then be mean, low down, racist and bigot. If the power that made you humble and loving, compassionate, empathetic, etc., then be that. Be altruistically as best you can be. Well, this is a Sunday, and I won't be turning on to a church program today to listen to it. I can't listen to that going on when we're living in a world that's sinking in mud. But I love you, and probably be back. Oh, before I go, I want to say this here. Become a lover and love yourself to death. Why? Because if you are a lover and you don't love yourself to death, you're going to become evil. You're going to be one of the worst evil people that ever been out here. You would have turned your back on love because you didn't get it in return. That's no reason. Love is love. Goodbye.